Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast. I'm your host, Brian Bratt, and this week's guest is 2010 Van Buren graduate Silver Viera. In this episode, Silver shares how her education at the Ohio Academy helped her start in the cosmetology field, how it took time to build her customer base, why she values having her salon, Silver's, in downtown Findlay, and much more. Whether you are interested in a career in cosmetology, want to own your own business, or are still exploring your options, I hope that what Silver shares today will help all of you make better career decisions and have fulfilling career journeys. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to this episode of Joust About Careers. And Silver, my first question for you is, how does a typical day look for you as a licensed cosmetologist and an entrepreneur?
A typical day for me, I come into the salon 30 to 45 minutes before my first appointment arrives. I'm usually folding my towels and capes from the day before that I had to launder. I'm checking voicemails, I'm checking my messages, and I look at my schedule and just kind of get ready for the day of all my appointments and who's coming in and kind of just get the salon ready for my first customer.
What are your typical hours?
I work 3 days a week. I am here from 10 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Um, those 3 days are my longer days, and that allows me to get in anyone that might not be able to come in until after 5, whether that's because they work or because they're in school. And then I do Fridays and Saturdays, I work 10 to 3. So it's a shorter day on those weekends. Saturdays are usually very busy for people that, again, might have to work or they're in school. And
Right.
so I work 5 days a week.
Okay. Now, what all do you do? Obviously, you're cutting hair, but I know there's a lot more that goes into it than that.
Yeah, definitely. So every stylist, I think, kind of specializes in something that they prefer to do or that maybe they're really good at. I personally do a lot of haircuts and a lot of styling. So I don't do a lot of color, but I have a few customers that do get color. So a lot of my day-to-day customers are men getting haircuts, young kids getting haircuts. And then I also uh, on the side of working every day in the salon, I do hair and makeup for weddings. So that typically is on site wherever the bride might be getting ready. Sometimes it's a hotel, sometimes it's the venue, and mostly on a Saturday morning, I do hairstyling, so updos, curls, kind of creating art on hair for the bride. And then I also will do makeup for the bride, the bridal party. So those couple things are my typical everyday. A little bit of eyebrow waxing in there, but mostly just haircuts.
Okay. When you were in high school, is this what you foresaw yourself doing, or did you have other plans when you graduated?
This is definitely what I always wanted to do. I think it's something that I knew I was good at. I did a college visit at the Ohio Academy down in Columbus when I was a senior. I also shadowed my hairstylist here in Findlay when I was a senior, and it was something I knew that I could get into right away after high school. I knew I personally liked doing my own hair. I've always had really long hair, and so it was something that every day I was flat ironing my hair, curling my hair, getting ready for school. So it's always something I've been kind of passionate about.
Did you attend Millstream or did you not? And I guess looking back now, knowing where you are in your career, do you think that would have been helpful to you? Do you think, obviously you've uh, gone on in your career. Is that an absolute for someone who wants to go into cosmetology?
Um, I remember kind of looking into Millstream when I was in high school, and one of the reasons I did not attend Millstream was I think the education that you get while you're in high school at Millstream is a little bit different than going full time at a Paul Mitchell school. So my school was a Paul Mitchell partner school, which means we learned everything about that brand. So all the products, their style of cutting and styling, their hot tools. So when looking into my options for starting cosmetology school, I knew I kind of wanted to go full time and focus on what I wanted to do. And I felt like if I did the Millstream program, that I wouldn't have my full focus there because I was in school. I was, a cheerleader. I had different academic things that I had to do on a daily basis. And I felt like I might have not gotten the best education from Millstream. And so I wanted to make sure that I was able to like fully focus 40 hours a week is what I ended up doing in cosmetology school and kind of give it my all. And I felt like it might have gotten watered down if I did that while I was still in high school.
Okay. So an option for some students, you didn't feel like it was the best option for you.
I I definitely think that it is an option for some students, and you can graduate high school and be licensed and kind of get going quicker, but that wasn't what I chose.
Right, right. Talking about the Ohio Academy, you talk about 40 hours a week. How long was that program? Are there different program options there, or is everyone doing the same thing? How does that look?
Um, so this was, 16 years ago. I think that it might be a little different now, but when I was in school, you could choose full-time or part-time. And I chose full-time, and so it was a Tuesday to Saturday schedule. And it was, I think, around 9 to 5. And if you went every day you were scheduled to go and you didn't go on vacation or miss too many sick days, then you could finish the program in 10 months. I personally finished it in 1 year, so it took me 12 months. And you have to clock in 1,500 hours. The 1,500 hours was kind of the minimum when I was there, and that would get you an advanced cosmetology license, which means I can do hair, cutting, coloring, I can do waxing, I can do facials, um, I can do nails technically. So that was the minimum hours required. It is now changed to 1,800 hours. Um, and I think the part-time and full-time might look a little different nowadays.
Right, right. So definitely a commitment, but it sounds like you have some flexibility that if you do need to, if you can't get it done in 10 months, you can just continue on as long as it takes and you're good to go. So are there other schools that are in Ohio or in Northwest Ohio where a person could go in addition to the Ohio Academy, or is that kind of the place to go?
There are quite a few schools around Ohio. A lot of them are, I guess, what I would call brand schools. So there's an Aveda school in Columbus, and that one was similar to the Paul Mitchell school, only they focus on Aveda products. Aveda products are a little more natural and spa-like, I guess, and so it was a different style of doing hair and a different vibe overall. There is also the Ohio State Cosmetology School and Barbering School. Um, so there are a few different options. I know Tiffin has Tiffin Hair Academy that is been around forever, and I think a lot of people in this area attend that school after high school.
So once you graduated, what did your life look like as far as did you start your own business immediately? Did you work for other salons? How did that all work once you graduated?
When I graduated from the Columbus Academy, I moved to Cleveland, and I got a job in Cleveland as kind of like a junior stylist, where I was very new. So I was observing a lot of other stylists and how their day looked and how they dealt with their customers. And I was paid an hourly wage to begin with. So starting out, I didn't have my own customers. That was my job, to go out and get people to come in to me. So I was paid an hourly wage, and I did a lot of cleaning. I did a lot of shampooing for people. I did the laundry. I did the dishes. And so it was a more of like an assistant junior stylist, kind of just seeing how everything goes. And while I was at that salon, I was able to do hair myself and get customers in. And once I was able to get enough customers where I didn't need to be a junior stylist, they would switch my pay to a commission instead of an hourly wage. I will say that I struggled in a new city where I was not from to get customers. And so I never made that switch to a commission pay. And I kind of was a junior stylist for 2 years.
Right. Well, yeah, that was actually something I was going to comment on if you didn't say anything about it, that it had to be very difficult, especially in a city that big. And if you're just going there and don't know a lot of people, wow, that has to be really tough. I mean, were you literally
Yes.
just seeing people in a restaurant say, "Hey, I
Well,
like your hair. Can I cut it?"
um, it was definitely a learning lesson that when you're 19 years old and you're in a city that you've never been in before and you don't know anyone, how are you going to get customers to trust you with their hair or to come in? And at my age, I was meeting people who were also my age, a lot of college kids. And unfortunately, a lot of those college kids could not afford to come to the salon that I worked at to get their hair done. So I struggled a lot. I had to get a second job. And I learned a lot. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I definitely learned about how to build connections with people and find your community to get customers.
Right. Yeah, and I think the word you said there, trust. I mean, I guess I don't have a whole lot of hair to work with, but the point is, I want to look halfway decent when I'm done with a haircut, and especially, women with much longer hair and everything else. Yeah, you have to build that trust. That is very, very important. Now, I think it's also interesting you bring up community there because, looking at your Facebook page, I see that you are a very strong supporter of other downtown Findlay businesses. Can you talk a little bit about why you do that? Is this part of something that, are you part of an organization to promote downtown Findlay? Do you just do that on your own? And maybe what do you value about being in downtown Findlay?
So I moved back to Findlay in 2014-ish. Um, and when I first moved back here, I did start working at a salon. But I also needed to still get a second job because I, again, did not have enough customers to come in and do hair full time. So my second job was downtown at a restaurant. And I worked at that restaurant for 5 years. And I realized that the downtown community was where I wanted to be. I met a lot of people at this restaurant, whether they were coworkers or customers that came in. And after that restaurant closed, I moved to another restaurant in the same downtown area. So long story short, over the last 10 years, I've been downtown and I have really found my community. And I've realized the reason I am successful today is because I have networked with tons of people in the area, and I was able to get all my customers that I needed. So it's something, as far as my Facebook goes, and sharing other downtown businesses. I think it's really important to invest in your community. So downtown, we have lots of small businesses that are locally owned, and the more business everyone gets down here, the more business for everyone.
Right.
Um, So because my salon is downtown, I am now a part of a retail association group. And what that is anyone can be involved if you sell anything. So even though I'm a salon, I do sell product. And a lot of the business owners will meet quarterly and we talk about how can we get more people to come downtown and to invest in our community. So we coordinate sales, we do different events, um, and it's a nice thing to all help each other out, right? Because the more customers and the more people that we see downtown, it helps everybody.
Right, right. Well, and I think, you know, you talking about taking that time and again using then those resources is really, really important. As you look at your career as a cosmetologist and as a business owner, what would you say are some of the best parts of your career, and what are maybe some of those struggles that, even though they are struggles, you're willing to fight through them because you do like this career so much?
One of my favorite parts about what I'm doing right now is that I am my own boss. So I get to decide what my space looks like. I get to decide what I wear. I get to decide my schedule. So it's very flexible, and that if I need to take a week off, I can do that and I don't have to ask permission. So it's nice having the full control of everything. And with that, I also have a lot on my plate because I do have to manage everything. I don't have a boss that I can, they're dealing with all the paperwork and the bookwork. So, owning the business has taught me a lot about a lot of different business things that I didn't realize. And so, as far as, setting up insurance and doing my taxes, all of those things that are kind of administrative I've I've learned a lot in the last few years on that side of the business.
Did Ohio Academy, did they cover any of the business side of things, or was that just basically, again, the cutting the hair, the products, etc.?
Um, in school, we did learn a little bit about how to run a salon. And so not all of us were going to leave school and be salon owners, but we did learn a little bit about that's kind of the ultimate goal, I think, for most hairstylists is to be your own boss, to own the whole salon. And so we learned about what that might look like as far as do you have employees? Are you renting your chairs or are they a commission-based employee? Um, and then a little bit about as a salon owner, what does that mean for you and what kind of duties are you now required to do? And one thing is you have to have a salon owner license. So if you're already a cosmetologist, you just have to take a class and an online class to get a new certification to own the salon. Um, so I knew that I had to do that, and I remember that in school, and so that was easy. And we did learn a little bit about the bookkeeping and things, but as far as owning a business, it was a lot of learning as I go.
Right, right. Always having to be a learner. I'm sure that every
Yes.
day there's something new. If someone was thinking about going into the cosmetology field, what kinds of characteristics do people likely need to be successful?
I think that the number one thing is confidence. Um, Having the confidence within yourself on how you look and how you present yourself in the beauty industry is really important because you're kind of your own walking billboard. If you don't have your hair done and it looks a mess and you look like you rolled out of bed, why would anyone trust you to do their hair? And so that was a huge thing, learning that you have to be presentable, you have to have that confidence, and you want people to trust you. And so if you have your hair done and your makeup done and it looks great and people are complimenting you on it, it's a little easier to gain that trust, especially with females. So, and that's also kind of how it becomes easier to network and to get those customers. So if I'm out having dinner and I get a compliment on my hair, I will pass you a business card.
That is a really good idea.
Yes.
But like
It
you
works
said,
well.
yeah, you are that billboard, because yeah, your work is on display every day with you. So that's very interesting. As we wrap up and you think about what you have learned about careers over the course of your time after high school, what do you know now that you wish you had known when you were in high school about careers?
One thing that I had to do when opening this salon was I had to create a business plan. And maybe we learned about this in school, but I don't remember learning about a business plan. And so it was something that I had to do a little research on. And the business plan really is, what's the goal at the end of this? Is it to own the business? Is it to just start your career? Um, and to kind of look at who else is doing this around you and how are they doing it? And how can you learn from other businesses and kind of take pieces away from certain things and create your own business? There are 50 plus salons in this town,
Hmm.
and
Wow. I didn't realize there were that many.
there are. And so I kind of had to research and look and see what's everyone else doing around here and how can I make my business different and how can I make it my own that people will find interesting and that will want to come here. Because there are a lot of there's so much competition here.
Right, right. Yeah, and I guess that's something I really didn't think about, was that competition that you have to be able to set yourself apart from others. So, Silver,
Yes.
really, really interesting. I really appreciate you sharing all of this. And I hope maybe some people reach out to you through your Facebook and Instagram pages and continue to ask you questions and learn from your experience. So thank you very much, and
Yeah, thank you.
good luck as you continue your career journey.
Thank you so much.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.